Hello and welcome to Freedom Gulch podcast. This is our 10th episode. Can't believe we have made it to double digits, and lots of stuff to talk about. Hopefully we'll be able to cover that and maybe pick up some other topics along the way. Today I'm joined by Robert Clemmer. He's that kid over there, and Michael Pickens, who's probably doing some deals right now, and Joshua Huffman, and
Hello.
Andy, Mr. Andy. We might have somebody drop in during the middle of our broadcast, but let's go ahead and jump into it. Big news for us libertarians. Virginia Republican Scott, is it Rigel? How do you say his name? I should have probably looked into that.
Rigel? I pronounce it Rigel.
Endorsed Gary Johnson. Of course, he is retiring from Congress, so he has a little bit more freedom politically, I imagine. And but it's huge news for us that an actual sitting U.S. congressman endorsed our candidate. So, what do y'all think of this news, Andy?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, it's a big deal. He's a congressman. He's a sitting congressman. Of course, we're excited that he's in Virginia. So let's see. Maybe he's only got a few months left. Maybe he wants to be a libertarian congressman. They threw him out of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Hey, does anyone know his track record?
I was just about to ask that. I have no clue his voting record.
He's I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen, he's nothing like special in terms of, a pro-liberty congressman. I mean, obviously, if he was, an Amash or a Massey or something like that, he'd be on the radar. Because, like, for example, in the 10th district of Virginia, Barbara Comstock, if you've heard of her, I mean, she's, in my opinion, no friend of limited government or liberty, and she's publicly stated she won't support Trump in November. Now, she didn't say anything about Johnson, but, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, of course, he did resign from the Virginia Beach Republican Party. Apparently, they were planning on meeting this evening and kicking him out of the party. But he does. He has said that he still plans on being a Republican who's just supporting Gary Johnson. I mean, he has, as far as I can tell, has no interest in joining the Libertarian Party.
Gotcha. Right. Well, that's my understanding is that any elected, I think he's an officer of his local GOP, any elected official not publicly endorse somebody other than the Republican nominee. And I know somebody, I'm not going to say any names, but Robert and I both know him, that may be a GOP person, elected president or some other position, that obviously does not support Donald Trump. But if he came out against him, then he would be forced out of the party, which of course he probably doesn't want to, I guess. But that's what happens. They force people out if they don't, toe the line.
Yeah.
I think it's neat that it gets him closer to 15%. Gets 15%, and it gives Republicans the okay to jump ship.
Yeah, I mean, like, what happens? That's the thing. I mean, of course, if one elected official does it, then they can easily, strike him down for his disloyalty to the Republican Party. But what do they do when, 24 of them do it? It would seem odd if they just started having, I guess being the first one, and of course with Rigel, he's not coming back after November, so he doesn't have as much to lose, if you will. So I don't know.
So we've got a couple state reps over here that have been sharing Gary Johnson videos and then sharing some of our candidates' videos as well. And we've been talking to them, but they're not ready to switch or even endorse yet. They want to see if he's going to make it into the debates or not.
Really? What
Yeah.
party? Republican or?
They're Republicans. We're trying to identify some Democrats right now.
I imagine this is going on all across the United States, I mean, if you're seeing that in Washington, I imagine that's happening everywhere, in every state. And I imagine that this is, I mean, we already have a couple state reps and other state level guys that have come out to support Gary Johnson. But I think that this is just a snowball effect. Next thing you know, hopefully, we'll be seeing more, obviously state, but then even federal level is even bigger if we saw some more people follow suit.
Definitely. We've had a couple city council members switch over. They were members
really?
of their local GOPs. So I think we need to publicize that soon. But they did this actually last year is when they switched over.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, not because of Johnson. They just saw
good.
the growth of our numbers.
Yeah. Well, Gary Johnson's definitely saying in the media. I'm seeing him on this talk show. I mean, Hardball the other night. He's on CNN all the time. He's on this. He's on that. As a libertarian, of course, I have my disagreements with him, but it's very interesting seeing all the publicity that he's getting, the numbers that he's getting that we've never been able to get, and even though, of course, there's some moments in the town hall, the second town hall, that made me cringe. I think that they had a very good message for the general public. A lot of people can identify with a lot that they spoke about. So let's go ahead and move to the second town hall meeting on CNN and see what y'all think about that. Why don't you go ahead, Andy? I see you smirking over there.
Yeah, it was much better than the first one. It really was. The ratings were huge. Ratings were much bigger than the last one. I think that's the biggest point. And now there's going to be another one on Fox Business on the 26th. So I think that's kind of your measure of success right there. They made it worth the network's time, and they're getting rewarded for it. There was a couple of cringeworthy moments. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Joshua?
I'll be honest, I actually did not watch it. As some of you may know, I was actually down collecting petition signatures in Blacksburg. So, yeah, I didn't actually see it, so I can't actually comment.
Doing the grunt work for the Libertarian Party. That's what we get.
What's that?
Thank you, Joshua.
Oh, well, certainly.
Doing the grunt work. Thank you.
Yes.
Did you watch it, Michael?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, man. It was actually a lot better than the first one. They were much more confident in their answers. They were funny. There was a couple times that made me cringe. 1,000 new FBI agents. But you know what? They said a lot of good things, too. And I think with the sentiment going on right now, the American public, so many people being upset, and then listening to their answers. I talked to the last two Uber drivers that I had about politics. I always do. And they had both watched the town hall. So they're both familiar with it, and they were planning on voting for Gary Johnson. So I think it had a huge plus.
Yeah, well, I would imagine Uber and Lyft drivers would, if they become successful in that field and make good money, then they would probably start leaning towards libertarian because they see both sides are trying to shut down, the peer-to-peer market, such that Uber and Lyft has really cornered.
Yeah, Uber drivers are the easiest to talk to, or some of the easiest to talk to, because I can reference what happened in Austin, reference what's going on in Seattle, and talk to them about it in ways that they understand their bottom line, right? It's their money that's on the line. The government's looking to take more of that in permitting fees, take more of that in union dues, forcing them to join a union. There's just so much that the government's trying to implement. And it's easy to talk to them about it, and they'll agree with it, and then we get to talk to them about libertarianism and the Libertarian Party.
Didn't they just ban it in New York or something? I remember reading the headline.
Yeah, I was just in New York this last weekend. I just got back a couple hours ago from Rochester, and Uber is banned in New York except for New York City. It's weird. And I'll be in New York City on the 20th, so I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, that's what last year I went to Las Vegas. This year I went again. Last year, Uber and Lyft were banned from Las Vegas, and if you've ever been to Las Vegas, there's 50 million taxis, and I mean they, shuttle people all around, off strip, on strip, everything like that, and so of course them being a union, they're trying to protect protect their vested interests in having Uber and Lyft a faster, cheaper service. I mean, whenever I've gone in a taxi, they don't talk to you. You know, they're like talking. They're talking to somebody else. I don't know
Yeah.
where. You know, in another language as well. Not even talking to you at all. And then I've been cheated out so many times because like I guess I don't know the fastest way to get somewhere, and so they take advantage of that. And I've spent $25-$30, and I've gotten Lyft and Ubers, and it's cost 10 or 12. And,
Yeah.
and plus on top of that, they're very personable. They're very nice. My whole trip, Las Vegas, and even driving back, like when I went out to New Orleans and other cities, I used Lyft and Uber, and all of them were very personable, good personality. They talked. They got you there as fast as they could, the quickest way, and that's kind of a tangent what we're talking about, but it just shows that and the peer-to-peer market is really going to put out the old dinosaurs like the taxi companies and other regulated industries.
So as Gary Johnson says, right, we need to Uberize everything.
Yeah.
That can go back to the town hall.
I definitely agree with him on that. But yeah, the town hall, I was.
All letters are us.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to the town hall, I thought I was really impressed with. They felt more comfortable. First time they kind of felt a little stiff, a little awkward, but this time they felt more comfortable. Their pitches, their points were a lot more even and flowed better. But like everybody said, there's definitely some cringe-worthy moments if you're a libertarian. But we're not going to agree with them on everything. But I really was satisfied with how it went, and then seeing the ratings that it was like almost double from the first one, and also the key demographic, 25 to 40-year-olds. They killed in that demographic. They beat out every other network in the time slot. And also with a poll coming out showing that people under 40 go for Gary Johnson. I think he was beating Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton around low 30%. I can't remember the exact amount. But, it's showing that hopefully with our generation, with technology, with the new peer-to-peer market and other innovations, that more people are libertarian, more people are moving away from the dinosaur parties that are Democrats and Republicans. So I think it's something to be optimistic about and look forward to in the future.
Well, and speaking of that, of course, there in downtown Blacksburg, people would come up to me and it's like, oh yeah, I just saw Gary Johnson on the news last night, and I like what he has to say, and I think the media coverage is fantastic, because it actually adds legitimacy and also name ID, and it has a chance like, oh, you don't like Clinton, you don't like Trump, well, here's this other option for you. So, yeah, and just from my own personal experiences, it seemed to be very positive.
Definitely, and we can think that the media is going against the third party, but what it really comes down to is probably ratings. They want to make the most money. Donald Trump sells ratings, Hillary sells ratings, third party, but this town hall showed that third party can get good ratings. So hopefully this is a like I said, just the beginning, and other media outlets will open their eyes to, well, maybe we should give them more of a spotlight, and the ratings won't suffer because of it.
Yeah, well, John Stossel reached out immediately, and he's having a libertarian town hall on Fox Business. So.
Yep. Well, hopefully we can get it on other, like MSNBC, maybe, I don't know, what all the other ones. I mean, it'd be nice if they get on 60 Minutes or, Face of the Nation, other big news programs, and hopefully with their rise in the polls and hopefully hopeful inclusion on the debates, that would be huge. Yeah, so let's go ahead and go into the debates.
It'd be interesting.
Pretty big news about. Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, because part of the very end of that town hall was them announcing that the Greens are going to have one.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know when it is. I don't know anything about this vice presidential candidate they got there.
The Greens, I'm actually looking forward to that. Maybe Jill Stein will essentially hang herself with the crazy stuff coming out of her mouth, and people will actually see that she's not very viable.
Well, I mean, speaking of the Greens, of course, they were actually collecting signatures in Blacksburg as well. So they're working hard to get on the ballot.
Yeah, we had some come out to the farmers market with us, and it sounds like they will probably miss it in Virginia. I don't know that for a fact, but they had like 3,000 collected towards their 5.
Mm-hmm.
The Bernie delegate, I'm down in Georgia, and the lady who represented Bernie Sanders from the Georgia delegation, she posted, she was one of those people that had the tape on her mouth that said silenced by the DNC and stormed out and everything. And so she's taking all the Bernie supporters in Athens, Georgia, and turning them over to Jill Stein. I see a bunch of Gary Johnson stickers in Athens, though. And it's a big university town, so there might be hope there.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just kind of excited to see how this all unfolds. But getting to the debates, Gary Johnson's getting closer in the flirt with that 15%, which is what the debate commission, requires, 15% with 5 major recognized polls. But it came out recently that the directors or people in charge of it actually said if third-party candidates within the margin of error, then we would actually possibly consider, having them included. And it also just came out, I think today or yesterday, that the debate commission has told the venues to prepare for 3 podiums.
Yep.
Actually, third party does make it. So, I'm really excited to see this upward movement and the possibility of being included in the debates. What about y'all?
Yeah, it's good. It's exciting. They got a little ways to go. The last average that I saw had Johnson and Weld at about 8.8. So even if we give them the 3 percentage points of the margin of error, they've got 3 or 4 percentage points to catch up. And I think the debate commission was just considering making that change, and were the debates to happen today, they would not be considering the margin of error. I don't know that for a fact. It's positive movement, and I think that's a sign of success from the lawsuit, even though that ultimately was not successful. And we can talk about that too, but it's fun that we're getting all this media coverage out of it. For one thing, that, hey, there's going to be a third podium. Just thinking about it.
I just hope that when Gary Johnson goes up there, if he gets up there, he just gets to be like chewed up and eaten alive. Because Trump's a pretty imposing mouth, and like Hillary, she's pretty cold and calculating, and he's been like on CNN hanging out with Anderson Cooper, and we're kind of being like, well, he's all right, he could have been better. And I'm just really worried that how it's going to get represented up there. What he's going to say, what's his agenda, what's his platform, what are his issues, and what he can really do to stick to those two.
Well, I think it all depends on how much time. I don't know if there's 3 people, if they're going to get even time like they would if it's a 1-on-1. But I think it also depends on,
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, right?
If
he gets in the debate, Gary Johnson's going to walk up on stage and he's going to call Donald Trump a pussy right to his face, all right? That's what he's going to do. That would be awesome. But no, I hope the campaign really gives him some good coaching before it grills him.
I mean, I remember when Rand Paul was up there at the beginning, and Trump was like, this guy's only got 1%. Let's put it up here. And that was like at the very start of the debate. You're like, well, shit.
Yeah. You know, Gary Johnson, if he does get in the debates, he needs to go up there and he needs to crack jokes about Donald Trump as if he were a clown, and just be nonchalant about whatever he says and control the conversation and crack jokes about him.
Yeah.
You know, obviously
And
add
Hillary,
some
too.
issues into it, and Hillary too, not just Donald Trump. Attack them both, right? But do it in his way, that he goes up there with his awkward jokes, and you know, I think that's how he should do it. But at least be confident, be prepared
Fiscally
with it.
conservative, socially awkward.
Yes, fiscally conservative, socially awkward. You got it.
He definitely. I hope they prepare him if he does get up to that point. They need to really prepare him, because like the first town hall, they did not look prepared, but they did look like they're much more prepared this time. So I'm hoping that they are getting more coaching, you know, so that they are more comfortable in those type of situations.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I see we are joined by Mr. Carl Lozer.
Oh.
Hey guys.
Haven't had you on here for a long time.
Oh yeah, I've been working.
Dude, Carl, how's the court thing going, man? Did you win?
I can't speak about that.
I can't speak about it, guys.
It's all good. I wish you the best in it, though.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next. How about we talk about the Johnson campaign stealing a graphic design package from a graphics design company. I thought this was hilarious, personally, seeing that.
Yeah, but you know what? That blue and the red background, the Obama poster had that on it as well, and that was before they did Gary Johnson stuff. It's not that creative, really.
Right. It's not too overly original.
No. But if they did steal the exact fonts and everything, then there's a question there.
Yes. It's completely normal for graphic design companies to send out free specs. You know, that happens all the time. And so you just give them credit, and then they get to go to their next potential client and say, hey, look at this work we did. And if you don't give them credit, then you get called out. That's the way it works.
Yeah, well, I mean...
And there's probably an FEC.
Isn't there some, don't think... Let's talk about some IP, huh? Anybody
It's hard when you send it to somebody.
Yeah, well, what was the exact circumstance? They sent it to them, but, like, what was the exact circumstances, Andy?
I don't know the exact circumstances. I just kind of know the way that these things...
Didn't they make a website recently? Like, I can't remember the name of it, but it was something about Gary Johnson. They put all the font, all the graphic design on it.
They put up the spec sheet they sent the Johnson campaign. They're like, look, here it is. Here's how you use it correctly. Here's how our stuff is supposed to work, and here's all the working files in case you want to use it too.
What was the website? The URL is like something Gary Johnson. I can't remember. HelloGaryJohnson.com. I think that.
We need to talk.
I think it's HelloGaryJohnson.com.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty funny. Hopefully, they get some good publicity out of this and get some, some business from it.
Yeah, they were gonna get press out of it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's see. Hillary pulled her ad buys out of Virginia and Colorado. You want to go ahead and talk about this, Andy, since this is your topic?
Yeah, not to dominate things, but it's just the tide is turning a little bit. They think they've got Virginia and Colorado sewn up. These are traditionally swing states.
State.
We're happy because, those of us that watch TV in Virginia, it's going to be a lot easier over the next 3 months.
Yeah.
See,
I've been seeing so many of her commercials. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, which commercials is she pulling?
I guess she's pulling all of them, not playing them in Virginia and Colorado.
I mean, I feel like I just saw a bunch on TV yesterday or the day before.
Mm. I'm not sure of the date. Andy's the one who brought up this topic.
Right.
Huh.
So hopefully we won't be seeing those ads anymore. I did just see one yesterday. It made me cringe really, really bad. It was about taxation, about taxes, taxing fair share for corporations and executive officers and
So
there's an exit tax. Y'all see that? She's proposing an exit tax. So if you take your money overseas or take your corporation out of the country, then you'll be taxed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I saw that on her ad. She was talking about the fair share for corporations and whatnot, then an exit tax. I was like, oh my gosh.
I thought they already had an exit tax, but they just called it the death tax. Inheritance tax, is that it?
Yeah, that's just so nice. You know, you die, then you lose half your fortune, and you can't pass it on to who you want to pass it on, right?
So now if I want to leave this country, I can't without paying an exit tax. Or if I own a business here, I can't leave without paying. Oh wait, excuse me. So
That's what she's proposing.
I'm trying to understand. So if I own a business in another country and I have to pay money because I'm a citizen in the United States, apparently, or is that?
It doesn't go into the details. I just saw the commercial. You know,
okay.
It was talking about the corporate tax, paying fair share, and you know the CEOs getting paid a lot and paying their fair share, and then it went to some of an exit tax, like for corporations that I guess move their headquarters out of the United States. I don't know the circumstances or the specifics of it, but that's what she was proposing in this ad.
So she's pulling a Bernie Sanders kind of thing.
Yes. Which, by the way, did y'all see that Bernie Sanders just bought a $600,000 lake vacation home? I guess socialism's really working good for him.
You know, it's funny. Someone explained to me the other day about the Bernie Sanders campaign, and basically they say, look, we live in socialism now. So instead of funding the money to all the 1%, the whole idea of the Bernie Sanders campaign was to redistribute it, keep the socialism we have, and add more socialism and distribute it to the lower part. So all it was going to do, and that's why a lot of people were really excited about it, is because apparently it was just going to, even though, because we do live in socialist society right now, all it was going to do is transfer the wealth differently. And that's what everybody loved about his campaign, apparently. But, I mean, to me, socialism is socialism, so...
Yeah.
The screwed up is that I don't ever get a bailout. So all these socialists want to bail out everybody, and I never get a bailout. Where's our bailout?
I agree.
I got to pay my fair share, but I don't get a bailout.
Well, I mean, you and I, Robert, going to Hammond Sydney, student loans, we need a bailout, don't we?
I was hanging out with Brendan Walter in Baltimore, and I was asking him about his student loan. But now he's got a whole bunch for law school, and so he's talking about it just might as well be monopoly money.
Well, I will say the one thing I am taking part of is the income-based student loan payment program that they have, which allows me to pay $0 a month through their socialistic program. Yeah, I found it extremely amusing. I'm like, well, I make this much, and they decided to say, well, that's not enough money, and basically they're saying, yeah, you don't have to pay anything this month. Month to month, you pay $0. And I was like, until next year, until my next income or whatever for next year.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with taking advantage of those type of situations. You know, you got to take any advantage you can in this, in the system that we are in.
I mean, for the most part, I actually do feel like schooling, the education system has, except for professional degrees, but bachelor's and anything under, I feel like is more of like just a big Ponzi scheme. You know, it's worthless. It's not worth anything anymore to have a bachelor's. And
right. Well, the value has definitely gone down because of the different education programs to subsidize loans to get more people into higher education.
Yep.
So now it's become essentially like a high school diploma. If you have a bachelor's, it's nothing. I mean, when we first went in, I first went in before the big recession. People were getting all these, financial analyst positions, entry level, right out of college, and all that stuff dried up, halfway through when I was in college.
Yeah.
And then you had to have 5 to 8 years experience just to have these entry level positions. Like, well, how can I get 5 to 8 years experience? It makes no sense. So no, it's definitely it's hurt us. We're kind of like in the generation underemployed, is what I call it. There's not enough jobs for us. People that are educated, went through college. It's ridiculous how high the unemployment rate is, but then also even more so the underemployment. People working jobs that they're overqualified for, or 2 part-time jobs that make ends meet. But that's just a systematic issue that we have stemming from the subsidized loans, which a lot of these Bernie Sanders people want to make it free.
Yeah.
And that would make it even worth less. It's just kind of, I took economics in college. That's what I majored in. So, I was kind of a liberal when I first went in. Robert can attest to that. I was a Democrat, and I took economics classes, found libertarianism, and realized that I didn't understand how the economy works.
Yep.
Robert, can you attest that I was a liberal Democrat?
He was all about some Bill Clinton in high school. Bill Clinton sticker on his Jeep. He was like an obnoxious blue dog Democrat.
It was more Bill, less kill.
Man.
The
truth comes out.
To the war. It was referring to the war, the Iraq War and Afghan War. But I was definitely. That's what I was raised as. My family is mostly Democratic. But, I took economics classes in college and saw the light. And that's when Robert and I started the Ham City Classical Liberals.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I kept going down that rabbit hole, and how many years ago started identifying as a free market anarchist, voluntarist, or ANCAP. So
yeah.
But I still see we're in a system. The government is interested in us, whether we're interested in them. So you got to fight it on all fields. So that's why I got out of politics for a while, but that's why I got back into politics, because I believe that there is some purpose to the political process to try to fight on that. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Evan McMullen, the independent conservative that has just mounted a presidential campaign. He's just announced a couple of days ago, Billy Crystal and all the other conservatives are touting him. But there's one huge problem with his campaign this late in the game, and us libertarians know ballot access.
Yeah.
Was there already 24 states have already passed their deadline for ballot access? So he can't be in 24 states at all, and he can't be in 24 states at all. And then I think tomorrow is the deadline for another 10 or 11 states. So tomorrow he won't be eligible in 34 or 35 states out of the 50. So I think it's just a lot of hot air and whatnot, and I guess publicity or whatever it is. Have you all heard about this, or what's your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact ballot access numbers. And that's interesting because we're still fighting here in Virginia. We'll just see. They've been talking about this for a while. It seems like they finally pulled the trigger. And who knows? I don't know what the goal is. If the goal is just to screw up things with Trump, why not? What do you need 30 states for? If the goal is to win, I bet it's too late. He's also an independent, so there you go.
Yeah, the guy's got no chance. They may try to win 1 or 2 states, but he's a former CIA agent. He worked for Goldman Sachs. He worked for what other agency? Another government agency. Pretty much, this is not the guy that we're looking for. Like, he doesn't have any liberty appeal whatsoever. And I don't think he's not going to pull any votes from Johnson, but he will pull votes from some of the Never Trump crowd. So.
Anything to help destroy the Republican Party.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see what happens.
People opportunities to jump ship.
Well, maybe. I would say maybe he's trying to do what Kanye West is doing in 2020. He's planning just to get some publicity this time, and then, say Kanye West 2020 or something like that.
It just seems to me, that. If they were going to do this, they should have done it far earlier. I don't know. I mean, I'm all about having people having choices, but when you mathematically actually have no chance of actually winning, I mean, just because you're not on enough ballots, even if you won all the states on the ballots you were on, you still wouldn't win. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the best use of time and resources.
Yeah, well, I mean, he has no shot. I mean, half the states have already passed their deadline. Another 10 states, deadline is tomorrow, I believe. And then you only have how many states left? You only have 15 or 16 states left, and you can't win, obviously, with that. And even if you do, somehow, I don't know how you're going to meet those deadlines, because they're going to be coming up too, and they're not exactly easy, as we have learned and have dealt with over the years, us personally. And it's just, I don't really understand the play. I mean, it's just too late. Not going to do anything.
Question is money. It's always money.
You get people. I'm sorry. You get people like Bill Kristol. Bill Kristol and those neoconservative ilk to vote for.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna be writing them in though.
They'll be writing in. Good for them. Whoopee.
I never heard of this guy. I mean, I don't know if anybody has other than insiders. People that because he's been advisor to this person, advisor to this person, work for this, lobbyist for this, but he's not anybody that's a public face. I mean, he really has a face that you want to punch, really.
That's a violation of the NAP, buddy. Come on.
I think his face is a violation of the NAP. Come on now. No, but all right, so let's talk about the Obama kill list procedure released by ACLU. I guess they did a Freedom of Information Act, and it finally got released. So have y'all read that, or read at least an article on that?
No. What is that about?
Well, I think it just came out yesterday. And
ACLU, which state is it? What? Typically, it's national. Okay.
I think it's national because the paper, the guidelines, procedure paper is on the ACLU website.
Oh, okay.
And but essentially, I mean, I read a little bit about it. It outlines the guidelines. Shows that there's all these procedures, all these people that they have to go through. But it's still, even though it seems like they do go through a lot of different procedures, it's still just kind of scary how these bureaucrats and whatnot have no oversight. They oversee each other. There's no judge, there's no this, there's no that, there's no public, nothing, no public input in on this, and it just really is kind of a scary proposition. Of course, we've known about this, but it's finally been released. Who knows if it's truly the real procedure, but definitely something y'all should look into if y'all want to read that.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, they like to use the definitions of words sometimes. It also not only doesn't involve the public, it doesn't even involve Congress or.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's just bureaucrats, overseeing bureaucrats. There's no oversight at all. There's oversight, but it's they're overseeing each other. There's no input from Congress or anybody else. of course, I mean, they do word stuff certain ways. I mean, Andy should know this. He's trying to become a lawyer.
It's almost time to go back to class, man.
What is your school became? What was your school? Ass Law now? Is that what it is?
No, so they had to change the name again. It was Ass Law. Now it's Assless, the Antonin Scalia Law School.
Huh. Wow.
Ass Law.
Well, I actually, if we're on the law topic, I do have a question. I want to raise a question, I guess you could say. It might be an interesting topic to talk about if y'all are willing to discuss.
I'm always willing. Let's go.
All right. Well, so I've been recently looking into the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, and something along the lines I've read is no one shall be compelled to be a witness against themselves. I mean, I'm not saying that's the exact wording, but that's basically the
right.
Yeah, and so my question is, if we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, if I make an accusation as a police officer, I guess I'm sorry. Let me put this in words. If a police officer makes an accusation and then has no hard evidence to back it up except for his word, wouldn't that be a violation of the Fifth Amendment? I mean, because he is a government agent and he is compelling you to provide evidence to show that you're not guilty. Because he's the only witness testifying against you.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please. I want to hear. That's what I'm. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not compelling you to testify against himself. The prosecutor, in theory, still has to provide the evidence and prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty of a crime. When you get on the stage or stand or choose not to get on the stand, you don't have to say anything. That's where the testifying against yourself comes in. Where I thought you were going with this was basically like the Irwin Schiff theory, which I think has a little bit of. It seems interesting to me. I don't know. But the idea that basically filing your income tax return, you are testifying against yourself.
Yes.
So he used to send in this blank thing and then say, "Tell me how much I'm supposed to pay and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt."
Yeah. No, exactly. Well, that's the thing, because it's like, to me, you're not innocent until proven guilty, as they want you to presume in a court of law, because as soon as there's a witness against you, even if the witness is lying, in certain cases, I'm not saying I'm not saying all people lie. I'm just saying, what if I just said, I'm gonna be a witness against Andy because I feel like I saw him assault someone, and you're like, Andy's like, I never did anything. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm a police officer, and I say, Andy, well, I saw you assault someone, and the police officer has a higher expectation or a higher level of professionalism, and their word means more value than your word. Even if you say, well, sir, I didn't do it, it seems as if right now, from what I understand, from what I've seen, the courts take their word, and it typically does not lead to a good verdict, from what I understand, from what I've been seeing. I mean, I could be wrong. I just would love to hear your input.
I think you're absolutely correct. They do this every day. Traffic courts around the country, the police are testifying against citizens. Oh, I saw them run that red light, or they didn't turn their blinker on, and they're using that as excuses to pull people over. Right? Yep. Tail lights out. There's no, whatever, and they have no other proof but hearsay. And they go in there and they basically testify against the person, and the judge takes their opinion because supposedly they are a police officer, and police officers never lie, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this.
Exactly.
It's a known fact. I looked it up.
I was gonna jump in and say he beat me to it. I was gonna say traffic court, and I've only gone to traffic court once, but I just felt like it was the most unconstitutional thing ever. The judge came up and he said, "Hey, everybody who's going to come with a guilty verdict, go ahead and skip to the front of the line, and we'll just get you guys out of the way." And I was like, oh. And then I remember the officer was there, and this guy he pulled me over going like 60 and a 55, and this was in Stanton when they first opened this bypass, and so this was state police. But they, it was, I wanted to give my account, and the judge was super intimidating, just throwing out verdicts and harassing people, and you could just do it. You could just do it, and just this idea that you were automatically guilty for stepping in there. And there was no, there were a couple people who tried to defend themselves, but they couldn't deal with all the harassment from the officers, from the judge, and just the legal circus, these hoops that they had to jump through.
I definitely agree. I got pulled over a couple years ago, and I had to go to court, and everybody, first he was like, hey, if anybody just wants to plead guilty, just let you know that you can go to driver school and get it off your record. Just go pay the clerk or whatever, and or go up and he'll give you that, and then it'll be off your record or taking points off. And it just kind of made me feel like, what does this guy have a deal with the driving school? Because there's like one driving school in Stanton. You know what I mean? Like, what driving school can I go to? There's only one. But then also, when I got up there, I was the only person that defended myself. Everybody went up there, just took it. They're going to take, driving school or, pay the fine or whatever. And I went up there, and I had all my notes out. And you could tell that they were so irritated that I actually was trying to defend myself. And it was a very intimidating spot. You had all these, you had the cop that pulled me over, obviously, but then you had all the court, sheriffs or deputies or whatever they are, and the judge, and they're just like looking like they're rolling their eyes and that I'm actually trying to defend myself. Because what happened was I was driving, and there's a school zone, but there's like a big van that blocked the flashing light. So I was going the speed limit on the road regularly, but I wasn't used to driving through there during the school hours. And so I tried to tell them that, and that two other people were driving beside me, and that the cop pulled a U-turn in this busy road, and I thought it was very unsafe, and well, who was being more who was causing more safety issues for the public? Was it me or the cop that pulled a U-turn in traffic? And then when the cop pulled me over, he had his hand on the gun the whole time. That made me feel very uncomfortable. He had his hand on the gun the whole time. He stayed behind my window, so I had to look around to see him. I kept my hand on the steering, and when he asked for license registration, I said it's in my glove box. Are you going to be okay? Can I go open my glove box? And so I told the judge, I felt like I was a criminal, that the guy was unprofessional, and I told him why I was going. I was going the speed limit. If it was a regular time, I just didn't see the flashing light, and and I came around all the different details I brought up, but he said that when I talked about felt like I was threatened by the cop, intimidated by the cop having his hand on the gun and whatnot. He said, well, he just protected himself. There's, because people shoot cops, and statistics show that I have a more likely chance of getting shot by a cop. And oh my God, you should have seen the faces on the cops. All the deputies and whatnot in the courtroom, and the sheriff, and I was like, oh, I just hung myself. and so pretty much that was it, and so I said, then they just gave me the fine and everything, and I had to pay it, and it's just ridiculous. So it's a scam. It's just what I brought up about the how can you, or who is paying your salary to do this? The city.
Yep.
And who's going to benefit from this money that you're taking from me? Is there not a
conflict of interest?
Conflict of interest here.
Yep.
There's nobody. There's no jury. You're the one that says yes or no, and you're getting paid by the person who's going to benefit from this.
Yep.
And they didn't have any of that. They rolled their eyes. They were trying to get out of there, and when I said about I'm more likely to get shot by a cop than the other way around, the cops like they did not look very happy at me.
Oh shit.
So listen to this. I have this story about I went to court with in Gulch County, Virginia. This judge is like, yeah, we don't give traffic school to anybody because it doesn't work. People still come back after traffic school. So I was like, so I went up there to testify, and he said, I'm like, Your Honor, is there a way I can get this off my record? This was, it was a mistake, blah, 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 or whatever. And I admitted, I was just like, I just want to get over with it. The only reason I was there in the first place is because I wanted to I didn't have the money at the time to pay at that moment for the ticket before my license was suspended. So I went there to go to court to ask for 2 months time to get my so I can have some time to pay before my license gets suspended because you don't pay it. But I used his argument against him. I said, Your Honor, I just want to ask you this because you said if traffic school doesn't work for people and they keep coming back, I'm like, well, then I'm like, why do you charge people with these crimes? Because it seems like they keep coming back. It doesn't stop them.
Did he say anything, or was it just silence?
Oh no. He's like, well, no. And then he got kind of defensive. He's like, well, you're guilty. I'm like, and then I was a jerk. I was like, yeah, well, I knew that coming in because it doesn't matter. I told him, I was like, this court is a joke. And he was like, excuse me. He's like, he's like, excuse me, and I'm like, yeah, this court is a joke. It's like, it's off the record. It's your rules, and it doesn't matter what I say because I'm not going to be found guilty no matter what. Even if I gave good evidence, you would still find me guilty. So I said, there's no point because you don't follow the rules in a court, not a record. And he was just like, well, I'll remember that. I'll write that down. I'm like, yeah, please do. Keep that in mind. And he got really upset. But then I was like, he's like, do you want are you gonna be able to pay this? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, do you mind if I get 2 months? And he's like, he gave it to me, but he seemed very pissed off about the whole situation because, I threw his own argument at his face.
That's what it seems like. Police and traffic infraction has just become another wing of revenue for the government. And it's just crazy how many people just took the guilty plea, and then they paid their fine, they went to driving school, whatever. Think about how much money. There's like a couple dozen people in there with me, and all their fines were $80 to $150, and they're just turning them over, and they get annoyed that I actually then just say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, please have mercy on me, and that actually slowed down their court process. Think about how much money is lost. You have to take off at least a half a day of work. You don't know when you're going to be up there. Then you got to pay the fine and whatnot, and plus then your car insurance goes up and other things go up. So think about how much money is just lost in that process.
Let me tell you what, man, it is complete bullshit. We should be able to charge them because they make up these laws out of thin air, and then they attach a cost to it, a fine to it that we have to pay out of thin air. They just make up numbers, and they put it there, even though there's no victim, right? And then if you don't pay that fine, what do? They increase the fine, and then when you don't pay that fine, they throw you in jail. It's ridiculous. No one.
I would like to say one thing, Mike. I actually think they have a very good strategy with their costs for the fine because they actually know free market economics very well because they want to get to that level that demand and where the demand is just enough as the supply where they can the equilibrium where they can say, hey, I'd rather just pay my ticket and be on my way.
I don't think so, man, because I've been paying attention for the past, 6 years now, and every year they're increasing fines. They're increasing a little bit, just a little bit, and then just a little bit, and just a little bit. They've been doing that with laws and regulations and everything. Mm-hmm. It's in rules for radicals, right?
Maybe they're trying to find that equilibrium that,
that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm not disagreeing with you on that point. I do think they are going up. I'm saying I think that the equilibrium keeps going up because they're like, hey, no one's defending themselves. We can keep getting away with pushing more
Because
money,
the Fed
more
keeps
money.
printing money.
I mean, they can. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, hey, if I can hey, how much can I get away? And then when they start seeing people fight back, because they're like, oh, yeah, I have to work I have to work a whole week for that one ticket. Yeah, people are gonna fight it, you know. But if it's only like, oh, it's only one day's work I'm missing, and this yada yada yada, people are willing to just pay it. But when it reaches like a month's worth of pay, it's gonna be too much, and people are gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna fight this, and they won't have enough time in court to fight it,
I think it's getting to that point right now.
I agree.
They're putting people in poverty with the court system. And not just that, look at the permits, right? I don't know if you saw the meme that I shared from Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah, that sheet with like the easy permit fees or whatever schedules.
Yeah, if you want to do any construction on your house, so if you want to change your water heater, you got to pay the city $150 just to be able to change your water heater, or $500 to put up a new deck that you have to pay for all the materials, and then after you pay for all the materials, or if you get it installed by a professional, you then have to pay taxes to the city and the county on all that. Plus the fee.
Plus, you're also not remembering your property tax. It's going to increase value on your home. So.
Yep, you're right, man. It's going to increase value on your home. I didn't even think about that. And then you got to pay more there as well. They're just every level. They're just trying to tax and tax and tax. And you know what taxation is?
Theft.
That's what when I started my small business, I rented out my house, and I had to have an inspector come over. I had to have like a smoke. I had to have regress, clear path to the door, like all these safety things. Like it's just me. And then I had to pay them the inspected and that they get the permit plus the business license and all that type of stuff. And that's what sort of like what's his name, John Mackey, Whole Foods. I went to Freedom Fest, Las Vegas, and he spoke, and he said that he was a socialist when he first started. But then you realize, once you open business, a lot of people realize that's not the way. When people start businesses, then they realize how convoluted, how horrible and bureaucratic that government is. Start a business, and then you'll become a libertarian, or definitely go away from socialism. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's only two ways for business owners to go. It's either conservative or libertarianism. The thing is, there's some people that just are very conservative on the social side, and they're like, well, I don't, they still don't want people taking their money, so
Yeah, just the cognitive dissonance. I wish people would realize that they don't want people to get in their wallet, right, or the paycheck. But then they want to get into other people's bedrooms. Like, I wish people would be more consistent on that. Of course, if they did, then most people would be libertarians.
Yeah, exactly. I'm I'll be honest, I'm trying to get out of politics. I mean, it's a dirty game. I'm not, saying anything bad about y'all. I'm just trying to get it out because it's just hard part of my life that I don't regret it. It just makes my life less stressful. So but other than that, I think I forgot where I was going with this. Shoot. Yeah, what were we saying? We were gosh. I lost what I was saying.
Starting a business makes you libertarian and conservative.
Permits, fees,
the
tickets that they charge driving around.
But so what I was gonna say is, I noticed that a lot more people are talking about Gary Johnson recently, and I'm like, even it's just like, wow, people are moving, and I think one day everybody's gonna be anarchists. It's just that's the first step, and I think it's good direction. Some people disagree with me, but
when I joined the Libertarian Party, I was a fan of Wayne Allen Root.
Oh God! Oh don't get me started on him. I saw him in person at Freedom Fest, and oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, there's another one you could break the nap for.
Oh man, that's another face that I like to hammer. You know what I'm saying?
Anyways, guys, it's I got to get going here.
Yeah,
it was great talking to you.
We're off to wrap this up. Thanks for joining us, guys, and hopefully we have another one in 2 weeks. So, see y'all later.
Awesome.
All right,
Take care.
Good.